Right, welcome back to the new world of who knows what. Erev Purim, almost. Who knows what's going to be. But in the meantime, we still have Shmuel Bet to get on with. I'm going to try and share the screen. I won't be able to see anybody whilst we're sharing the screen because I'm on my laptop and I've only got one screen. Normally, I can see you guys on one screen and the text on another screen. But when I share on a laptop, I can't see you. So if anybody wants to say something, you'll have to shout out rather than put your virtual hand up because I don't think I'll see it. So let's try anyway. I'm going to share the text where we're up to. Okay. Right. Can you see the? Oh, I can see you actually. I can see you on the right-hand side, so that's okay. Right. You can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So where were we up to? We were up to. Well, this isn't the right chapter for a start. Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. Oh, that's right. Yeah, where we were up to, David had said that he was sorry. Chatati Lashem. Where are we? Yes, there we go. Verse 13. Verse 13. And David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said to David, also the Lord has removed your sin, you shall not die. Okay. Nevertheless, because you have greatly blasphemed the enemies of the Lord by this thing, the child also that is born to you shall surely die. Okay, so that was his punishment, or at least one of the punishments, that the child that was conceived in this irregular manner was to die. But before we get to that, I want to take you to a very interesting Gemara. And I wanted to do this last week, but we never got round to it. And then the screen kept freezing. So the Gemara is in Yoma. And if you want to look it up later on, it's 22b. I'm going to put it on the screen now. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
With the Gemara? Yeah, has it switched?
Yes.
Yep.
Good. Okay. So the Gemara asks a very interesting question. Hang on a sec. I'm just going to shut the door. Right. The Gemara asks a very interesting question. Amar Rav Huna. Rav Huna says like this. Kama la chale v'lama ragesh gavra damare saya. Says Rav Huna, how little does a person who has the support of Hashem have to worry or be concerned? It's a very interesting statement for us right now. Oh, Jeffrey's joined us now. That's good. He can do the reading in a minute. So Rav Huna says a statement here in the Gemara. He says a person doesn't have to worry. If Hashem is looking after them, we don't have to worry. Now, that's a very appropriate for right now, obviously. And he brings a proof. Listen to this proof. And he says, the proof for this assertion is a comparison between Saul and David. Now, let's just have a look at the Gemara itself. Shaul ba'achat. Saul with one, meaning Saul did one Aveira, va'alta lo, and it counted against him. What happened after Shaul's one sin?
He lost the
God
king.
told him he would take the kingdom away from him.
Yeah, he lost the kingdom. David, Bishtayim, David did two sins, velo altabo, and he didn't count against him. He didn't get the kingdom taken away from him, right? Okay, let's just stop there for a minute. So I've got several questions on that, and you should also have several questions on that. Rav Huna says Saul failed with one single sin and it was counted against him, costing him the throne. David, however, failed with two sins and they were not counted against him as he retained his position. Right, that is where we're up to. What are your questions against that, please?
You don't have any.
Hannah doesn't have any questions. That's
Saul's,
unusual, Hannah.
Saul's sin was so big that the ramifications were enormous. David's sin was personal.
All right. Okay, that's a very good observation. A very good observation, Jackie. Let's just unpack it. Saul's sin was enormous and had national ramifications.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Which sin are we talking about?
Thank you very much, Hannah. So you do have a question.
Yeah, because, wait a second, Saul sinned more than once.
Okay, thank you
Okay,
very
I don't
much.
know.
Stop,
Wait a
stop,
second.
stop, stop, stop. That is exactly the question that I wanted. You can't just take the Gemara at face value. Hannah, when she thought about it for a minute, did have a question. And the question that she had was exactly the question that the Gemara has. Right? Wait a minute. Saul did more than one sin. Right, Hannah, since you started, you can finish. What sins did Saul do?
Well, I don't know if it's sin, but the first one I think was when he was supposed to wait for Eli, the prophet, before he went to battle, and he didn't.
Okay, not bad. Not bad. You're almost correct. Let's go to Shmuel Aleph, chapter 13. It's on the screen. I'd like Jeffrey, if you're there.
Yeah, I
Can't
am.
see you. Oh, you are there. That's good. Okay, I'd like you to read, please, from verse 10. I'll take the blue off because it make it easier for you to read.
And it was when he finished offering up the burnt offering that behold, Shmuel came and
Well,
Shaul went out toward him to greet him. And Shmuel said, What have you done? And Shaul said, For I saw that the people had scattered from me, and you did not come at the appointed time of the days, and the Philistines are gathered in Michmash. And I said, Now the Philistines will come down against me to Gilgal, and I have not yet made supplication before the Lord. And I forced myself, and I offered up the burnt offering. And Shmuel said to Saul, You have done foolishly. You have not observed the commandment of the Lord your God, which he commanded you. For now the Lord would have established your kingdom over Israel forever.
Keep going.
Oh, but now your kingdom shall not continue. The Lord has sought for himself a man after his heart, and the Lord has appointed him to be a ruler over his people, for you have not kept that which the Lord commanded you.
Okay, so there you go. There's sin number one. And not only is that sin number one, that sin explicitly in Shmuel Aleph chapter 13 says that he got the kingdom removed from him. Okay, now then, that's sin number one. Next sin, please. Yes, Jeffrey.
He didn't kill Amalek.
Okay, there we go. It's on the screen for you now. It is Shmuel Aleph, chapter 17, no, 15 this time. On the screen for you, Jeffrey, please.
And he seized Agag, the king of Amalek, alive, and he completely destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. And Shaul and the people had pity on Agag, and on the best of the sheep and the cattle, and the fatlings, and on the fattened sheep, and on all that was good. And they did not want to destroy them, but everything which was vile and feeble, that they utterly destroyed. And the word of the Lord came to Shmuel, saying, I regret that I have made Shaul king, for he has turned back from following me, and he has not fulfilled my words. And it distressed Shmuel, and he cried out to the Lord all night.
Okay, so there's sin number two. And again, it said that he's taken, the kingdom is taken away from him. So if we go back to the Gemara, how can the Gemara say that Shaul only failed with one sin?
Well, that's simple. You said it yourself that after the first sin, he already said that they'd had the kingdom taken away from him. So it only took the first one. The others were supplementary.
Okay, all right. All right, Paul. I mean, that's possible. One second, Philip. I'll come to you in a minute. That's possible, except I think, Paul, if you were to ask anybody, why was the kingdom taken away from Saul, what would they say?
Agag.
Because he didn't kill Agag.
Agag.
Okay, now, Paul, just if you wouldn't mind, I hate to do this to you. Well, no, I don't. I love to do it to you, really. Just read the screen for me, will you? This is the Gemara that we were talking about. This is the Gemara. I cheated a bit because I didn't show you this bit of the Gemara before, deliberately. From where my pointer is, please,
All
Paul.
right. What was Saul's one sin? The incident with the Agag, king of Amalek, whom Saul spared in defiance of God's command. But what's
Okay. Right, there you go. So I think your answer was a very good answer, but I'm afraid the Gemara doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Or at least the Gemara doesn't bring it. Maybe the Gemara is not as clever as you. But it seems that the one sin that the Gemara is referring to is the incident with Agag, which of course is very apropos for Purim. The whole thing is also very apt for this time. Persia being somebody wanting to destroy us, and he himself getting destroyed, hung on his own by his own petard. 1 second, Philip. I'll come to you in a
You're
sec.
speaking French.
Just 1 second. I want to carry on. Now, what's really interesting is that the Gemara doesn't bring the first sin that Hannah pointed out at all. Look what the Gemara says. Carry on for us, Paul. You might as well. You've started.
what was Saul's one sin? The incident. But what was this? Why was this his sole sin? There is also the incident of Nov, the city of priests, in which Shaul later slew many innocent people, as cited above.
Okay, there we go.
Can I make a comment?
No, not yet. I've got Philip first, and I've not finished this sentence yet. First, let me finish, and then I'll go to Philip. So the Gemara says there's also the incident with Nov where he killed the priests, and in fact he says, well, so there wasn't just one sin; there was at least three that we've got. So we've got to answer those questions in a moment. So we'll come back to the answers to the question as to why the Gemara is talking about one sin when it's really at least three that we know of in a moment. Philip first and then Hannah.
It seems to me that there's a problem here with free choice, with bchira chofshit. I think that Shaul was set up in this case, in this particular case, because they knew, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that he was a man who was maybe slightly greedy or whatever, and he set him up to not to kill Agag and not to kill the sheep and the good things that they were there, because he knew his character.
Well,
That's rubbish.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to say it in quite those terms, Jackie, but
What?
since
Who's
you
laughing?
mentioned,
Why is that funny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to be serious for once.
no, he didn't say it was funny. He said it was rubbish.
Who said it was rubbish?
Jackie,
I'm going to come and look for him. Tell him.
thank you.
So,
You're right.
yeah, I agree with Jackie.
I'm going to come and look for you. It'll be
The
easier.
The truth is that we all have Bechirat Chofshi. The fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what we're going to choose doesn't mean that we didn't have the choice in the first place. That's a philosophical question, which we'll come to you in a second.
Ask Hannah if she agrees with me.
We just got to deal with Philip's rubbish first of all. So yeah, I don't think that's a real question against Bechirat Chofshi. Yes, Hannah.
Do we say on the Yamim HaNoraim Yodea Lev Klayot in our Tefillah?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Therefore, God wanted somebody pure of heart, and Saul didn't relate to God as his absolute and ultimate what can I say, leader. Whereas David, all his life, everything he did with God in mind and what God would like. When he had the opportunity to kill Saul, when Saul was chasing him, he didn't, because he couldn't kill God's anointed.
Okay,
And
let me just
there
stop you there, Hannah. Let me stop you because you're absolutely right, but you've jumped a few guns. We will get there, and you've just stolen a bit of my thunder. So I'm gonna stop you because
sorry.
we've got a few steps to get to that. And anyway, Michael was shaking his head, so he didn't like it. So we'll get to your shaking of the head in a minute, Michael. Well, not in a minute, but in due course. But we've got a few more steps to get through before we actually get to the answer of the question of why David didn't get punished in the same way that Saul did. And I think Hannah started to tell us at least an answer, even if Michael doesn't like it. It's an answer that I think is certainly valid and needs to be explored. But let's do it. Let's go back a few steps. So first of all, let's deal with the Gemara itself. The Gemara is still on the screen for you. Now, the Gemara answers about Nov. Why does he say that there was one sin when there was more? Well, what about Nov? Well, the answer to that Nov is given is that the story of Nov, with Nov, where he killed all the priests, occurred after the episode of Agag, and therefore he'd already had it taken off him with Agag, which is a bit like what Paul said with the first sin. Okay, so if we go back to what Paul said the first sin was not waiting for Shmuel when he should have done. And at that point, explicitly, Shmuel says, God has taken the kingdom away from you. Now, he then says he's taken it away from you from Agag, with the incident with Agag. So the question is, how can God take away something twice? Where is Paul? I can't see him on my screen. Are you there, Paul? Speak up, and you might come on my screen.
Hello. Hello,
There you
yes.
are. Right. Okay, Paul, since you raised a very good point, and it's hinted at in this Gemara, not with the sin that you said, but with the Nov one, how is it possible that God can take Saul's crown away from him twice?
Maybe he forgave him in the interim.
Oh, okay. Maybe he forgave him in the end. Don't think we see that. I'll tell you what. Rav Bazak hints
Johnny,
at.
can I answer?
Yes, go on, Jackie.
That Saul was taken away because his son never inherited the kingdom.
Ah, okay. Let's go and look at the language, exact language. So let's go first to the first sin, not waiting for Shmuel. Let's have a look very carefully what the punishment was. Where's Jeffrey? Are you there, Jeffrey?
I am.
Okay, could you read for me, please, on the screen, verses 13 and 14?
And Shmuel said to Shaul, You have done foolishly. You have not observed the commandment of the Lord your God, which he commanded you. For now the Lord would have established your kingdom over Israel forever.
Stop there for a sec. Stop there for a sec. Had you not sinned in this sin, your kingdom would have lasted forever. Meaning, what's the punishment?
Continuity.
Yeah, the punishment here is that not that he personally is going to lose the kingdom, but his sons won't continue on afterwards. Have a look at verse 14 for us, Jeffrey, now, please.
But now your kingdom shall not continue. The Lord has sought for himself a man after his heart, and the Lord has appointed him to be a ruler over his people. For you have not kept that which the Lord commanded you.
Okay, so the first punishment was, as Jackie has said, the lack of continuity, the failure of establishing a dynasty. Now, what we find with David is something very unique, isn't it? There is a statement that says This was in Nathan's promise. Remember Nathan's promise to David? When David wanted to build the Bet Mikdash, what did Nathan say to David in the name of God? Can you remember?
Your descendants will complete the job.
Yeah, you won't do it, but your descendants will. Your descendants will, and your the scepter will never remove from your family. You will have an everlasting dynasty. Remember, we debated what that meant, whether it meant that it would be continuous or that in the due course it would come back. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
here in the first sin of Saul, the punishment is the removal of the dynasty. Now, if we go to the next sin of Saul, which was Agag, what does it say here, Jeffrey, on the screen for us, please? Have a look. We'll go from, I think, verse 11. Yes, verse 11. Just verse 11 for the moment, please.
I regret that I have made Shaul king, for he has turned back from following me, and he has not fulfilled my words. And it distressed Shmuel, and he cried out to the Lord all night.
That is a personal thing. That's not a dynasty. It doesn't say I regret that I've made Saul's family the king. That is, I regret that I have made Saul the king. So I suppose you could interpret the Gemara, if we go back to the actual words of the Gemara for a second. What does it say? It says that Saul failed with one single sin and it was counted against him, costing him the throne. So we can answer the question by saying that the Agag sin, was the one that did it for him personally. That was his removal of him as king, was as a result of the failure to deal with Agag. Okay, right. Now, let's just go back to that where we just said that we regret that we made Saul king. I want you to now, Jeffrey, if you wouldn't mind, reading for us, and you'll see why I want to read this perhaps a little bit later. But I just want to read for you to read, please, verses 13 all the way through to all the way to a lot. So I hope you're not going to be tired after this. I want you to read from 13 to 25.
Wow.
And Shmuel came to Shaul, and Shaul said to him, May you be blessed of the Lord. I have fulfilled the word of the Lord. And Shmuel said, What then is this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? And Shaul said, They brought them from the Amalekites, for the people had pity on the best of the sheep and the oxen, in order to sacrifice to the Lord your God, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. And Shmuel said to Saul, Desist, and I shall tell you what the Lord spoke to me last night. And he said to him, Speak. And Shmuel said, Even if you are small in your own eyes, are you not the head of the tribes of Israel? And the Lord anointed you as king over Israel. And the Lord sent you on a mission and said, Go, and you shall utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and you shall wage war against them until they destroy them. Now, why did you not hearken to the voice of the Lord? But you flew upon the spoil, and you did what was evil in the eyes of the Lord. And Shaul said to Shmuel, Yes, I did hearken to the voice of the Lord. I did go on the mission on which the Lord sent me, and I brought Agag, the king of Amalek, alive, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. And the people took from the spoil sheep and oxen, the best of the ban, to sacrifice to your God in Gilgal. And Shmuel said, Has the Lord as much desire in burnt offerings and peace offerings as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than a peace offering. To hearken is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and stubbornness is as idolatry and teraphim. Since you rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you from being a king. And Shaul said to Shmuel, I have sinned, or I have transgressed the Lord's command and your words, for I feared the people, and I hearkened to their voice. And now,
Okay, let's stop there. We'll come back to 25 in a minute. So that long section there that Jeffrey read out for us tells us very clearly that Shaul thinks that he's done the right thing. He thinks that he's fulfilled the commandment of the Lord, and he hasn't. And he argues back with Shmuel, and he says, no, I have done as I was meant to do, and of course he didn't. Now,
But he said,
again, I wanted.
Hati, I have sinned, the same as David said.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that, Michael, because I'm going to talk about the contrast of that shortly. But before we just
Johnny,
get
But
to
it wasn't a first reaction.
yeah,
It was
okay,
when,
wait,
when he saw
wait. We're not there yet. You're jumping the gun again. We'll have to rein you in, Hannah. We have to rein you in.
Johnny, can I make a comment?
1 second, 1 second. You can come in a minute. Wanted to show you verse 23 here. Jeffrey, just read the last part of 23 again for us, please.
since you rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you from being a king.
Yeah, so there's that personal aspect again, right? He has rejected you from being a king. So that's why the Gemara says that was the sin that did it for Shaul. So you can see there that the other sins, it wasn't that he didn't do other sins, it was that was the one that did for him. It's still a question against the Gemara, in my opinion. However, I think that we can at least have a go at answering it. I'm going to come back to you, Hannah, about the and you, Michael, for about the chatati, I have sinned, in a few moments. But Jackie, what did you want to say?
Twice I noticed Saul said, your God, not my God or our God, your God. Specifically.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. I also noticed that. It's strange, that, isn't it? There we go. Verse 21. I brought it to sacrifice to your God. Very interesting. And I wonder what you understand by that, Jackie.
I understand that it's like Pesach with the evil son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could certainly argue that, couldn't you? That he is disassociating himself.
Yeah.
He's saying, look what I've done. It was your God. I did it for you. One thing I wanted to mention, maybe I'll mention it right now. No, not yet. But first of all, let's go to 24. No, let's not go to 24 yet. What happened here was, there we go. Verse 21, please, Jeffrey, again.
And the people took from the spoil sheep and oxen, the best of the ban, to sacrifice to your God in Gilgal.
Okay, apart from the your God bit that Jackie's just pointed out, what else do we see in that pasuk?
He's not taking responsibility for
Yes, he's not taking responsibility.
He's
passing it on to.
It's like our Prime Minister.
The people.
He's saying, wasn't me, Gov. It was the people. The people took from the spoil.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, but, first of all, we don't believe that because, the people would not have done it unless you allowed them to. And secondly, the buck stops here. You're the leader. You're the king. So this is very relevant to when we come to the next part, almost the next part, which is what was the difference? This is Michael's question. What was the difference between Shaul's chatati, I have sinned, and David's chatati? We'll come back to it. I just wanted to point it out in verse 21. But before we get to the difference between the two confessions, if you like, I want to go back to the Gemara for a minute. It's over there for us. We've said that Saul failed with one single sin, and it was counted against him. David, however, failed with 2 sins, and they were not counted against him. Obvious question, please.
Uriah,
What were the 2 sins of David?
Bathsheba, and Uriah.
Okay, Hannah says Bathsheba and Uriah. Would anybody like to disagree?
That was only one sin, effectively.
All right. So
No,
what would-
because
It was,
one is
adultery.
he sleeps with a married, he has relations with a married woman, which is one
Yes.
sin, and the
Adultery
other
and
he
murder.
arranges somebody to be killed.
It's the
That's
same.
Which
It's
is
the same.
another
It's the
sin.
same. It's the
Hannah,
same. Same.
I-
The
Whoa,
same.
whoa, whoa, whoa. One at a time, one at a time. First of all, me, and then Michael, and then Philip, and then somebody else was speaking, but I don't know who
Jackie.
it was.
Jackie, of course.
Jackie, okay, right. So in that order, but first me. Okay, on the face of it, I agree with Hannah. This is unusual, Hannah. We're agreeing too often today. I agree with Hannah on the face of it. 2 sins. There's Eshet Ish,
Yeah.
and there is murder.
Murder.
That's
Murder. However, we have said, have we not, in our Gemara Shir, that ein shlichut lidvar aveira, and we even brought this example that David could not be considered guilty of killing Uriah because he didn't pull the trigger, and you can't appoint a shaliach, an agent, for a dvar avera, for a matter which is forbidden.
He paid
Right?
the killer. He paid the killer.
Doesn't matter. Ein shlichut ledvar avera in halacha. So I think that on the face of it, Hannah is correct, but actually, when you delve a little deeper, I think Michael is correct that it was actually only one sin that he did, the Eshet Ish. That's certainly something that he did. You could certainly argue, and the Gemara argues, I think the Gemara is in Shabbos 56b, if my memory serves me correctly, that the murder of Uriah was not a murder, first of all, because you can't appoint an agent to do an Aveira for you, and he appointed Yoav. So Yoav was the one that was guilty, if anything, and probably he wasn't guilty either, because the actual person who did the killing were the Ammonite soldiers. And secondly, if you remember from that Gemara, we said that Uriah was chayav mita anyway. Uriah was liable for the death penalty because he was mored b'malchut. He had rebelled against the king because he had called Yoav his master in front of David. And the Gemara there says that he deserved to die. He was a ben
They should have topped him on the spot. He should have topped him on the spot when he did that. But
that's possible. Maybe that's true. Okay, so who was first in this whole thing? I can't remember. Michael, I think it was you, wasn't it?
I've lost my track now. Go to the next person.
Michael's lost his track. Right, Hannah was next. You're last, Philip. Hannah was next.
I just said, Philip's right. He should have killed him on the spot, but I think somewhere it says that he didn't kill him on the spot. He gave him an honourable death because he'd been a good soldier.
Okay, so even if you say that, it's still only one Avera. So we're struggling with you now. Okay,
Johnny,
Jackie, and then Paul, and then Philip. Jackie.
David's 2 sins were on a different level because A, he committed adultery, and B, he got someone killed. But that was personal sins, like with people sins. Saul's sin was they had from God the commandment to obliterate the lot, and didn't do it. It was on a much higher madrea.
First of all, God also said, don't have relations with a married woman. So that's one point. The second point, which is there was a national sin affecting the whole people. I agree with you on that point. There is a difference. But we still not got to what David's 2 sins were. Paul.
Carried out a census, which he wasn't
Yes,
supposed to do.
very good. Paul carried out a census. No, Paul did not carry out a census. David carried out a census. Later on, I think it's chapter 24, I think. We'll get to it eventually. David carried out a census. And what happened after he carried out the census, Paul?
He got into trouble.
He did get into trouble. You're right. Could you be a little bit more specific?
No.
No. Okay. Fair enough. Good answer. Yeah, he did get into trouble. Lots of people died as a result. There was a plague. There was a
Oh, yes.
plague. And that was
Yes.
why was that a sin, Paul?
You're not supposed to count.
Yeah, you're not allowed to count. That's why we do Hoshea et Amecha when we're counting a minion. You don't count Jews. If you count Jews, it's a bad thing. You're not allowed to do it. That's why, again, very apt for this time of year. That's how they used to do a census back in the day.
That's Machatzita shekel.
Machatzita shekel. That's right. Everybody gave a half a shekel, and you counted up the half shekels, and therefore you had the number of people. So yes. So the two sins of David were the sin of Bathsheba and the census. And the census. Right. We've got there. Okay. Let's just have a look. Carry on in the Gemara. Here we go.
I've come back to my thing about the apologies.
Oh, you've remembered, have you, Michael?
Yeah.
What about me?
It was about
What
the
about
apologies.
me?
Both Saul and David actually disagreed to start off with, and then they both said they had sinned. So therefore, I can't see there's a lot of difference between the two, except for the level of the sin.
All right, we'll come back to it. We're almost there, Michael. Yes, Philip.
Okay. First of all, I want to tell you that the last will be the first. It's written somewhere, I can't remember, maybe in the New Testament, but the last will be the first. Secondly, David's initial sin with Bathsheba is a sin which is punishable by death, and I do not understand how he was cleared of this. Maybe you can explain it to me.
Okay.
Was he an exception, as we have had over during the whole of history, that there were always exceptions, and why there is no real justice?
Okay. Does anybody know what Philip is talking about when he says the last is the first? Anybody? Any idea?
That's because you said that I was last.
Oh, I see. Okay. I think he means Achron Choviv. The last is the most beloved, but in your case, that isn't the case. Anyway, okay, let's take the serious point that Philip made. How come David didn't get the death penalty? Well, we could answer the question very simply. It's not a particularly good answer, but we could answer it to start with very simply if we look at the psukim themselves. Have a look. We're in our chapter now, chapter 12 of Shmuel Bet.
Could you answer
have a look, please, if you will. Jeffrey, if you could read for us. Let me just find the right pasuk I want you to read. There, verse 13, please.
David said to Nathan, I have sinned to Hashem. Nathan responded to David, so too Hashem has commuted your sin. You will not die.
There we go. So he was meant to die. So in a way, Philip, you were right. But Hashem has commuted his sin because of the confession, because of the admission of guilt. And that brings us to the question that Michael has been grappling with since the beginning of this shiur, which is, what's the difference between Shaul's chatati and David's chatati? And I think that if we look at it in great detail, we will see that actually there is a difference. Let's go to Shaul's chatati, which is in the chapter 15 of Shmuel Aleph. Okay, so we said just before, Jeffrey read out before, do it again for us, Jeffrey, verse 21.
And the people took from the spoil sheep and oxen, the best of the ban. to sacrifice to your God in Gilgal.
So
Your God.
as somebody pointed out earlier on, I think it was Jackie,
Yeah.
your God in Gilgal. And as Peter pointed out, the people took from the spoil. That is Saul not taking responsibility for his actions. Go now down to place to 24, Jeffrey, please.
And Shaul said to Shmuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the Lord's command and your words. For I feared the people, and I hearkened to their voice.
Okay, now, so therefore, if you look that carefully at that, what we see there is that he does say, Chatati, I have sinned.
But
And then he says why he sins. He makes an excuse for himself. Why did he say he sinned, Michael?
because he feared the people, but in fact, that's so wasn't really a proper.
Yes, I think you've answered your
apology.
own question there, haven't
Yeah.
you? It wasn't a wholehearted, and of course, Hannah pointed out just earlier on that Hakadosh Baruch Hu Yodea Klayot. Hakadosh Baruch Hu knows what's in our kidneys. What it was thought in those days that the kidneys was the seat of the conscience. Of course, we know today that the kidney is actually the seat of the urine, as opposed to the conscience. But when it says Yodea Lev v'Klayot, Hashem knows the heart and the Klayot, it means he knows what is deep in a person's heart. And here, this Chatati Lashem is almost a conditional Chatati. I sinned, yeah, but it wasn't my fault. I was frightened of the people. I've got an excuse, mitigating circumstances. David, on the other hand, let's go to our chapter, verse 13, Jeffrey, and our chapter.
David said to Nathan, I have sinned to Hashem.
God, I have sinned to Hashem, Chatati Lashem. No buts, no because, no, she was a gorgeous looking bird and I couldn't resist it, no, nothing. No excuses. Chatati Lashem. I have done a sin to Hashem, and that is it. So there is a world of difference, Michael, between those two things. And I want to go back again now.
Well, what you're actually saying is, if Saul hadn't actually said that after I've sinned, he himself might have kept the throne.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that what I'm saying is that Saul's Chatati is not in the same league as David's Chatati. And what we see with David's Chatati, while we've still got this on the screen before I flip back again, the end of verse 13, Jeffrey, please. The second sentence.
Hashem has commuted your sin. You will not die.
So immediately, right? It's the same pasuk. David says Chatati, and Nathan says to David, Hashem has commuted your sin. Meaning that Hashem instantly knew, it was clear that this was a wholehearted Chatati, a wholehearted confession and regret. Whereas let's flip back to where are we now? Over here to Shaul. He says, no, I feared the people and I listened to their voice. I shouldn't have done it, but. Somebody said it out loud earlier on, but. It's now, just to show a little bit more how Saul's Chatati is not in the same league as David's, I would like you now, please, Jeffrey, to read verse 25.
And now forgive now my sin and return with me, and I shall prostrate myself to the Lord.
Okay, stop there. What is that pasuk all about, please, somebody?
Back me up.
Yeah, back me up. So what's the key? One second. What's the Paul? What's the key part of that pasuk?
Well, he's relying on Shmuel be his defence or to plead for him. Not
Yeah,
his,
yes,
but
yes.
as Barbara said,
Well, Hannah, wait. Yes, Paul.
Barbara was just saying, David didn't um, uh, automatically confess to his sin. It was only when it was thrown back at him bleakly by Nathan that he did so. He didn't come to it of his own volition.
No, but immediately that he realized that the parable that Nathan had given him was him, he immediately said Chatati. Saul, on the other hand, said Chatati, but it wasn't my fault. I listened to the people. And more importantly, this verse 25, you're right, he's asking Shmuel to back him up. But more than that, Hannah, what were you going to say?
He's giving God a condition. He says, forgive me, and I'll come and I'll prostrate myself to the Lord. Well,
Okay. Yeah, okay. So that's a bit of a chutzpah.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I get that. But I'm interested in this bit here. Now, Paul has said, and return with me. Paul has said that means that he's asking Shmuel to back him up. In what way is he and where is he asking him to back him up, Paul?
Well, he's saying you going back with me implies that he agrees that he should be that Shmuel agrees that he should be forgiven.
Yeah, but if we you're right. But if we read further on, there's a little bit more to it. What did Shaul actually want? Go to verse 30, Jeffrey, on the screen.
And he said, I have sinned. Now, honor me now in the presence of the elders of my people and in the presence of Israel, and return with me, and I shall prostrate myself to the Lord your God.
So what was it all about, this return with me?
Wasn't it when he tears Shaul's cloak and he doesn't want to bow of him anymore?
Yeah, this is exactly the same. This is the same chapter, Hannah.
Self-aggrandizement.
Yes, Jackie. Look at it. Say it again for us, Jeffrey, please. Verse 30.
And he said, I have sinned. Now, honor me now in the presence of the elders of my people and in the presence of Israel, and return with me, and I shall prostrate myself to the Lord your God.
So what's he saying here? Yes, I've sinned, but honor me. It's all about me, right? It's all about me. I don't know if you've seen it. There is a Fiat car, a small Fiat car, which is, I think, aimed at young female drivers. It's usually in a very sort of bright colour. And it's called, the model of the car is called It's All About Me, M-I-I-I-I. I don't know if you've seen that. There's a few of them knocking about in Polleg. I've seen them. And this is called It's All About Me. And that is today's society, I'm afraid. It's all about me. All about me. And that is what Shaul is saying here in verse 30. Yeah, I've sinned. But now honor me in the presence of the elders of my people and in the presence of Israel, and return with me. What's the covered? The covered is that Shmuel Hanavi will be with him. And what does Shmuel say? No way, I'm not coming with you. No way. Too late, mate. You've had it.
Johnny, Saul carries on again. We've got it again. To the Lord your God, not our God.
Yeah, okay. Yes, good. Well pointed out again. 1 second, Philip. 1 second, 1 second. So you can see, if we go back to Michael, right? I hope, Michael, now that you have no longer got the question of what is the difference between David's Chatati and Shaul's Chatati. There is an absolute world of difference between David's Chatati and Shaul's Chatati. Shaul's Chatati was lip service. It was very superficial. It was all about me, right? Honor me in the presence of the Lord, of the people. And Shmuel wasn't having it. Look what verse
You shot me
there,
down in
verse
flames.
30. What do you say, Michael?
You shot me down in flames.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Yeah. Jeffrey, read 31 for us, please.
And Shmuel returned after Shaul, and Shaul prostrated himself to the Lord.
Did you see that? Shmuel returned after Shaul. He did not go with him as he asked him to do. He says, return with me. And the Pasuk says, clearly he did not return with him. He went after him. He didn't want to be associated with him. His chatati, his confession, was not of a standard which was at the same as David's standard. And that was the end, I'm afraid, of Shaul's kingdom. So if we go back to our Gemara, we can now understand our Gemara, right? The Gemara then says, what were the two sins? Okay, by the way, just to show you that Paul was right, the Gemara says, what were they? One was the incident in which he had Uriah killed, and the other was the matter of incitement of David to conduct a census of the people. Right. And then the Gemara says, well, wait a minute. The Gemara then asks Hannah's question. But these weren't his own. What about Bathsheba? Eshet Ish. And there the Gemara says, no, you got a separate punishment for that. And that was the restore the lamb fourfold. That was the four. Remember, we talked about this the last shear or the shear before. The four sons that David lost were, again, see if we can remember them. Who can remember the four sons that David lost?
I've got the ArtScroll here. I've got the ArtScroll here.
1 second.
No.
Answer to my
It's the
question.
answer to your question.
Oh, well, no, I don't want it from the ArtScroll. I want it from you.
But wait a second. But it says children and not sons. Because we discussed this last time, I think, and we had trouble with the fourth son. And here he says that one of the children wasn't a son.
Yeah, I know that's what the ArtScroll says, and I deliberately didn't bring that last time because I didn't like it at all. But since you brought it, I'll show you why. Tell you why I don't like it. There were four sons of David's that he lost. There was Amnon, there was Avshalom, there was Adoniyahu, and the unnamed bastard child that we will read about in the next few psukim. Right, four sons. Now, the ArtScroll, which I also read and didn't like, has Tamar as one of the children of David who was killed, but she wasn't killed anyway. She was raped, and of course that's as bad as being killed. I accept that, but we don't need to come on to that because we did have four sons of David who were killed.
Can I ask a question, Johnny, please?
Yes, Philip.
There's something again wrong here with the whole thing. I can't remember who it was that Henry VIII, there was a cardinal who revolted against him and who was killed in the church.
Thomas More.
Thomas More, yeah, right, yeah. Now, tell me, the way that Shmuel speaks to Shaul, isn't he worthy of Chayav Misa? Shmuel, the way he talks to Shaul.
You mean the other way around? Shaul talking to Shmuel?
No, Shaul is trying to apologize, and Shmuel is being insolent.
No, he's not.
No.
I know you don't agree with me because I always go for the bad guys. Somebody has to defend them.
One second, Jackie. Who would like to answer Philip's question?
Me.
Jackie, go on.
Saul wasn't apologizing. He was making excuses for himself.
He was what?
making excuses for himself.
Correct. That's answer number one. Who else would like to give another
He's
answer?
defending himself. It's making excuses. It's the same thing
No,
as
he
defending
wasn't.
himself.
No. Jackie is right. Who else would like to answer the question? Philip's
God,
question.
God is the main king,
Yes.
and God
No
commanded
justice.
his
There's
prophets,
absolutely no
and
justice.
Saul is subservient to Hashem.
Yes, Shmuel, exactly. Michael's
Saul is
correct.
the mouthpiece of God.
Shmuel
Yeah.
was not speaking with his own voice. Shmuel was the Navi. The Navi is there. That's his job. The Navi's job is to keep the king in place. You could say the same thing about Natan, Philip. Why did Natan not get killed instantly? Because he criticized David. That's his job. He's the prophet. That's the job of the prophet, is to make sure that the king does not exceed his position.
Okay.
What do you say, Paul?
Think the truth to power is the expression, isn't it?
Say that again. Seek truth to power.
Speak the truth to power.
Speak the truth to power. I've heard that expression. Didn't really know what it meant. Is that what it means?
I guess so.
Okay, good. Well, I agree with it. That was Shmuel's job. So no, Shmuel, no, we're not buying that, Philip. Not at all.
All right.
Johnny?
I'll accept it because it's you, but otherwise I wouldn't.
Yes, Jackie.
We didn't get an answer to why it was your God. Like Saul.
I don't know the answer to that, and I think that probably I'll have a look, but I guess that the Mefarshim, I'm guessing now because I haven't looked it up, but I'm guessing the Mefarshim will take your point, Jackie, and probably say that was not a good thing to have done, and demonstrates Shmuel's lack of faith, maybe. Yes, Paul.
Saul's lack of faith.
Shaul's lack of faith. Yeah.
It just means, I think, he thinks that he's recognizing that that Shmuel has a more direct link with Hashem.
Okay,
and so therefore, that's
Could
why.
be.
By the way, I looked up on Google Philip's quote, "The last shall be first," and it comes from the Gospel of Matthew.
Thank you so much for
Blessed
that, Paul.
be you.
I'm forever grateful for that. I don't think we'll bother with the context. Thank you. But there you go, Philip. You are absolutely right. It is in the New Testament. Philip seems to know his New Testament better than he knows his Old Testament. Right. I think on that point, we will go back now to our chapter.
Johnny.
Yes, Ivor.
Is there a fundamental difference between what we're talking about from God? The prophets are interpreting God's understanding of events. God is looking at it from God's point of view. The fundamental difference has to be that there was a commandment of God which Saul disobeyed blatantly and was punished. And David, there was no specific command of God which he disobeyed. He behaved immorally.
That's what I said.
Do not commit adultery.
Yeah, I can't accept that either. That's what Jackie said earlier on. I can't accept that. Lo tinaf is pretty clear.
He succumbed to his own lust. He saw this gorgeous woman. One thing led to another. But there's no specific command that David was given by Hashem which he disobeyed. You're taking in general terms of the Torah.
Yeah.
So how you interpret a person's actions and reactions is one thing, but Saul was black and white. It was very simple.
I accept that he had a specific command, but that specific command was only a repeat of Timche et Zeiche Amalek mitachat hashamayim.
Yeah.
Right. So I can see that there is some validity to your argument, but I think that the important part of this distinction is not actually what the sin was, but what the response to the sin was. On the one hand, David's unconditional chatati lashem, end of chatati lashem. I have sinned to God. I accept it. No excuses. Whereas Shaul, chatati, but come and honor me, and it wasn't my fault. I listened to the people, and I shouldn't have done, and I was mitigating circumstances, and blah 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 blah. So I think the key here to the reason that David did not get the kingdom taken away from him is not the difference in the sin itself. It's the difference in the reaction to the sin of the sinner. That is the key part. And that is what the Gemara tells us in Yoma. It's what all the Meforshim say. And we have to buy into that, because otherwise we have a real problem with David Melech Yisrael. If we don't look and find something very special about David, then we have a problem as to why the kingdom of David is eternal. We have a real problem with that. Yes, Hannah.
I don't know if I'm giving you a red herring or not, but I have heard and I have been told in Shurim, if we learn how we should pray from Hannah when she prayed for Shmuel when she was at the temple. From David, we learn about doing tshuva. David is where we learn how you do tshuva, and he's held up, where in Shurim I've been to, as the paradigm of tshuva. And the Rambam says that in order to do tshuva, the first thing you have to do is recognize the sin. If you don't recognize the sin, you can't do tshuva. And David is I can't think of the word in English, is the epitome of, once Nathan says to him, it was you, he accepts it immediately, he recognizes his sin, and he does tshuva.
Exactly.
And later on, I think I read somewhere where the sin with Bathsheba and Uriah plagued him for the rest of his life.
Okay, stop there. I agree entirely, and I'm going to show you. We did it already, but I'm going to show it you again. I got it ready. It was the next thing on my list, and we'll finish with this, because I think we've probably done about an hour or so. I don't know what time we started, but anyway, have a look at the screen now. Remember, we did this a week or two ago, maybe last week, maybe the week before. Jeffrey, if you're still there, I can't see you, but if you're still there, read the first few psukim, please. Is Jeffrey still there? No, doesn't look like he is. I'll read it then. Lam Natzech Mizmor David, for the conductor, a song of David, when Nathan the prophet came to him and he went to Bathsheba. Be gracious to me, O God, according to your kindness, according to your great mercies, erase my transgressions, wash me thoroughly of my iniquity, purify me of my sin, for I know my transgressions and my sin is always before me. Against you alone have I sinned, and I've done what is evil in your sight, etc., etc., etc. This is Tehillim 51. David not only says chatati and then forget about it, it's there in front of him the whole of his life, as Hannah has said. He is the paradigm of tshuva. He is the epitome of tshuva, and that's exactly what I was saying. Rather worryingly, Hannah and I agree again 100% on this point. So
we both believe in the same God.
Yeah.
And the same Torah.
Yeah, that's true. I was only being facetious. So if we go back to our chapter here, the reason that David Melech Yisrael Chai v'Kayam, the reason that David, the king of Israel, Chai, lives v'Kayam and exists forever, is because of tshuva, not because he was a saint. We don't believe in saints, right? We believe in tshuva. And Chatati Lashem Vayomer Natan said straight away to David, Hashem has listened to your tshuva and has because if Hashem didn't listen to our tshuva, none of us could exist. If we got instant punishments without the ability to do tshuva, that's why, the Yamim Naraim, the month of Elul, etc., is such a gift to us. That ability to do tshuva, that opportunity to do tshuva is such a gift to us. And that's why it's so important. So we'll stop there. And next time we will talk about this very sad situation. We'll start at verse 15 next week, please God, about the death of the child, and we'll see a little bit more of that. But I think today's shiur was very apropos the idea of tshuva, the idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to our tshuva immediately if it is sincere, and if it's not sincere, well, I just refer you to Shmuel Aleph, chapter 15, and we can see what happens there. All right, everybody.
Johnny,
Besurot
can I just
Tovot,
say,
Purim Sameach.
Purim Sameach.
Purim Sameach.
Johnny, can I just say that from someone in England, I'm full of admiration for everything you're doing in Israel and carrying on like this.
Well, we have to carry on doing our bit. Our amazing soldiers and Air Force are doing their bit. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing his bit, and our bit is to carry on. Our bit. Our bit is to continue to be confident, to continue to know that we are on the right side of justice, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will support us and make sure that we're on the right side of history. Yes,
Amen.
Jeffrey.
If the war continues in its present state, and we're not allowed to assemble in Shul, could we have a Megillah reading on Zoom? Would that be permitted?
Okay, let me answer that question. I was going to turn off the recording, but I'll leave the recording on because somebody might want to be interested in the answer. Possibly is the answer, possibly. However, a better solution would be small groups where somebody will come and read, and that is what we're planning to do if we can't meet in Shul. We've drawn up a list of all the people in our community who know how to read the Megillah. We'll divide it up and we'll go round to various different places and try and get groups of 10 if possible. So we've got a minyan and do it in a small place where we are not in danger and where we are still keeping to the Hanchayot, the rules of the Pkud Oref, the home front guard. Very, very important that we follow their rulings. So that is a better solution. If it comes to it and that we can't do it that way, and the only way to do it with Zoom, then there are opinions that say that, b'shas hadachak, in an emergency situation where there is no other way of doing it, well, that would certainly be better than nothing, and we might end up doing that as well. But for the moment,
no 4 rabbis tonight. There's no 4 rabbis.
Yeah, that's going to be on Zoom. I've sent a link out. That's going to be on Zoom, not in person. It's going to be on Zoom at 7:30 tonight. You're all welcome to join that. So watch this space. We will do whatever we can to make the Purim as Purim-dick as possible. But a lot of it depends on what goes on over the waters.
Well, we've already got the present-day Haman. We topped him.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
What about
Okay.
his 10 sons?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.